had just turned 21, and I was thinking about the big question in life at that point of time. What do I want to do my master's thesis on? So I was still 2021 when I joined my master's, and I was thinking about teenage pregnancy. Fortunately, I did not go through the experience myself, but I always wondered why autonomy and choice was not more at the center when talking about teenage pregnancy. It always felt a little bit more like these girls were victims. And that made me a bit uncomfortable because I'm a young person as well, and I feel that people do what they think is right at that moment in time. And I wanted to sort of give them a little bit of a benefit of a doubt. So I go to my supervisor's office and I tell him, hey, I've been reading up a little bit, but I don't think that teenage pregnancy is all that bad thing. And he looks at me and he was like, okay, if you think you can substantiate it, let's see where this goes. So I was very happy. I walked out of the office really happy, and then the next thing you know, I was on the field in Cape Town in South Africa, sitting with a group of 16 to 18-year-olds, shifting in their seats. The girls were anticipating what we were going to talk about, and I kind of decided to break the ice, and I said, hi, I'm Tasneem. I grew up in Mumbai. I just turned 21 recently, and I'm not seeing anyone right now, but I was hoping we could talk a little bit more about relationships, crushes, dating, and so on. And the next thing you know, we were laughing away, and they were telling me about what contraception they use, and it felt like it was going in the right direction. Now, the reason I'm telling you is I took you sort of through this brief journey is because I realized as I did my research that I wasn't functioning in a vacuum. My research was inherently tied to the identity that I have, and I could see that my identity changed and influenced the way participants perceived me and how they perceived my research. And that's sort of what I want to latch on and take you through, and that's also what I got out of the Wednesday. And I want to take you through that with 3 Ps. And the first one is positionality, and that's what my story essentially talks about. I think we all know in NGO speak we have a theory of change, and at every level we make our assumptions explicit. And I think in research it's also important to do the same thing with your own identity, that at every level you make your assumptions about what forms your beliefs and where your beliefs come from explicit. And I think that's what Anna and Kristen did excellently in the morning of Wednesday, where we really unpacked why we think certain things, and why do I think that it's okay to be sexually active when I'm 11, or why do I think it's okay to be sexually active when I'm 23. And I think once you acknowledge that, you go on to the second P, which was power. And once you frame your identity, you realize where you have, at which intersections you have power and at which intersections you don't. And that's not only for myself, where I felt that, okay, by talking to these girls, my age and my gender had diffused power relations. I was one of their girlfriends. They were telling me what they would tell their girlfriends. But also not forgetting that they were picked out by their professors to come and be interviewed by me, and they probably felt obligated. And it's not just about that, about my identity, it also extends to the people you work with. So I think Yanamika, she made that explicit in her presentation on Wednesday when she said that youth participation she saw was gendered. And amongst girls, there was a power differential, but also between girls and boys. And I think making these things explicit along the way also helps you figure out how you would be designing your programming. And it was really nice to see a lot of the young researchers who did their presentations on Wednesday really bring that out time and again. And that's when I'm going to move on to my last P, which is practice and reflexivity. And now that I sort of think about my identity and how it influences my research, I already am sort of stepping into this practice of reflexivity. And that's again a little bit about what Kristen and Anna touched upon. They explained that they conducted inward-looking workshops with their young researchers. And I think that that's an excellent thing that we should sort of try and do a little bit more to trace out our own research journeys when you interact with participants and when you interact with the issues that they face on a daily basis. I'm not saying put the researcher at the core of the process. No, that's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying let's not forget that that process is also going on simultaneously. And I think that doing this sort of helps us it doesn't come out of nowhere. I mean, you need an ecosystem to be allowed to think that way. We had a very, very excellent and thought-provoking presentation by Belen, who sort of questioned the discourse on child marriage. The same, very similar to how I questioned teenage pregnancy, whether was this really the complete story? Does child marriage really violate girls' rights? Is there an element of consent in child marriage? And to be able to ask these questions, you need that kind of ecosystem, whether you're a practitioner or a researcher, young person, old person, what you may be, you need that ecosystem, and that ecosystem needs to be nurtured. You need to invest in that, and you need to invest in that particularly with young people, because I think what I see in myself as well is that I'm not that prone to immediately concluding that this will not work. I've seen it before, it's not going to work. Or, no, this has been tried, and yeah, we've had problems in the past, it's not going to work. There is a sense of fresh ideas, there's creativity, there's energy, and that might come out of a little bit of naivety and innocence, but it's there. And I think that because you're working on SRHR, there's a demographic dividend of young people, and that's why you're working on SRHR, especially today. And if you're going to tap into that demographic dividend and deliver services that help young people, they need to be part of that process. And this creative energy that they have and that we have needs to be harnessed. And if you harness that, then we can probably say that we're moving towards a conversation where in 2030, when we are hopefully not having another Shen at SRHR meeting and we've solved all the problems in the world, we at least have more young people in the room, for instance, or we have young people who are considered important enough and responsible enough to carry out research. I was 21 when I did my research. I'm not saying that I'm a genius or anything like that. I'm just saying that it was challenging, but I had people around me who believed that this was possible, and my age only worked in my favor because I could really connect with other girls who were 20, 21, who had just had babies, to talk about their experience, and I could relate to it a little bit more. So that's basically what I want to, keeping those 3 P's in mind, I want you to take that with you and take that thought to think about how we could really put young researchers and young people not only in programming, but also in the research that informs your programming, put them at the core of that. So thank you.
Wow.